Hello everyone on today's webinar. My name is Jiří Valek. As usual, for every webinar that we run, we usually keep 2 to 3 minutes for people to join the session, to get familiar with the GoToWebinar platform. So the same happens today. I see that people are joining. So welcome. We'll start in 2 minutes. In the meantime, please get ready to ask questions that we will answer at the end of today's webinar. The GoToWebinar panel provides a couple of different sections, which one of that says questions. You can raise your question anytime. It'll be answered at the end. Also, you can use the chat panel to chat with my colleagues that are online and ready to help you with any question, any concern you have. You should already see my screen that, let's say, highlights the topic of today's agenda. And for those that are just joining, we usually keep 1 or 2 minutes at the beginning of the webinar for people to join, to get ready, and we start approximately in 1 or 2 minutes. The webinar will be recorded, so we will definitely share the recording with you tomorrow, so you can share it with your colleagues, with your co-workers. So let's say you don't need to make notes, anything, just we will share the recording with you. For people that are just joining, we usually keep 1 or 2 minutes at the beginning of the webinar to let the people join, so we will start approximately in 1 minute. You should already see my screen. A last check with my colleagues. I'll resume my presentation. So I will ask my colleagues to confirm that they see now the browser and now back the PowerPoint, and they hear me loud and clear. Let me open the chat, whether this is confirmed. Yes, all good. Perfect. Welcome everyone on today's webinar, Learning Management Systems versus Digital Adoption Platform. My name is Jiří Valek. I'm a VP of Product Management at Newired. Today I'll be the only presenter. And we will speak today about different platforms, LMS, DAP, and LRS. And you may really ask yourself, what are all these platforms? What do we will speak about? This is what we cover today. We will not just explain what LMS or DAP means, but especially we'll focus how the learning management system and digital adoption platforms play together, how one can benefit from the other. I'll not, let's say, dive deep into the learning management systems because they have been on the market for ages. So you are probably familiar with those concepts, but maybe less familiar with DAP. And let's see, I hope that we explain where one complements the other, etc. So first, let's say we start with LMS. I expect that you all know what LMS is, but just to wrap it up, I mean, the LMS is the online educational hub that, let's say, governs the activities such as classroom learning, distance education, or continuous education. So you can actually learn or be trained on a specific topic anytime, anywhere, with any device, which is supposed to be rich on media, let's see, content such as pictures, videos, etc. But at the end, you are also, let's say, capable to track whether the people are really trained with different tests or quizzes. And I mean, for today's presentation, I have set up here an LMS system based on the SCORM Cloud infrastructure, where I can actually play some of the courses. For the case of today's webinar, I'll actually be using some sort of the golf training course where I can actually now just perform the specific test and submit the answers. And we'll see later how this LMS platform can integrate well with the DAP platform. The main benefits of the LMS system are related to the fact that you can really very well track the compliance of your employees with specific regulations, processes, internal procedures. And the benefit for the employee is that he or she doesn't really need to attend the courses, let's say on site in a specific time, but more on their convenience online. And that the training systems can be really maintained up to date, because let's say the people always get the most up-to-date content when they are trained online. Though the very important topic today is really what's the main scope, what you want people to be trained with the learning management systems. You very often want people to be trained on, let's say, external regulations. We know it very well from the perspective that most of our customers are coming from the, let's say, medical or automotive or fintech markets, where there are lots of, let's say, different public regulations that you want your employees to be, let's say, familiar with or really properly trained. But there are lots of also internal processes that are specific to your organization. And what traditionally was also the scope of the LMS was the training on top of the digital tools they use internally. So today, I mean, to really stay competitive in the business, the markets are going through the digital transformation. So the companies are using more and more digital tools, and you want to make sure that the people are actually being trained on those digital tools. But this really is often associated with the so-called learning curve. And if we check what's the typical learning curve over training for a digital tool, a software application, I mean, you need to train the people, but the people forget. And especially with the apps that are really complex, every month you are exposed to a new version, to a new tool. I mean, that there comes the frustration because the people, or we all forget what we have trained. So we need to be retrained. Then there is a change in the process, in the configuration of the tool. So something that was working yesterday is not working anymore. So I need to be retrained again. And that's really something which we think it's the time to change. And there is a great example. I think that we all understand that. I mean, if you want to learn how to drive a car, of course you can read a book, but we all would probably agree that it's much better if you learn how to drive really sitting in a car with your coach, that really, so you can learn by driving, learn by doing. And I think that's the concept that the digital adoption platform brings as an innovation for a digital tool training that was, let's say, conservatively in the past being performed by the LMS systems. So what I want to show you now is just, let's see, before we will speak how we can integrate these two tools, what a DAP platform is. So what is the concept that resembles this learn by doing concept over a digital software? So if I open my browser, we have here a sample application. It's the CRM system that we have set up for this demo. And if the CRM system that you don't know, doesn't really matter much, because we can better show you what really means to get onboarded on a specific system. So you see here that on top of my web application, there is another layer. This layer is what is being introduced by the Newired, or more or less by any digital adoption platform. This layer can actually help me understand what is this application about? So I can get here the step-by-step, let's say, instructions on the screen that I follow that explains me what are the different concepts on the screen. But honestly, with this, there's not much difference between reading it here and reading the manual or watching the video, because this is not really learned by doing. So the bigger value of the DAP is that the digital adoption platforms can really help users to do a specific task or perform a specific procedure directly in the application, and not in the sandbox, but really guide the people through the first case, in this case, for example, to create an account. So you see here, we are instructing the user, let's click here on the create, click on the create account. So once again, all these callouts, all these bubbles have not been part of the CRM system. The goal of the DAP is to enrich, to augment the applications with those on-screen instructions that help me to actually go through a particular procedure. So let me enter some data. I'm instructed to click here on the save. You see now the system knows that I haven't filled in the required field, so I should enter it. And now I click next, and it instructs me to click on the save again. So the digital adoption platform, in this case, our digital adoption platform, Newired, compared to traditional, let's say, LMS systems, give you ability to learn the specific task or procedure directly in my application. The great thing is also that it's available anytime, similar to LMS, but I don't even need to search for specific training. Anytime I need assistance, I can just search let's see, the instructions online, and there is a guidance that helps me to perform one or the second step. We go back to my slides. What value usually does it really provide? So what's the difference between using the LMS and DAP? So first, the one of the key benefit is, of course, the operational type of benefits, like cut the training costs. How do we cut the training costs? First, I mean, it's simply less time consuming to retrain people with the Newired platform, because anytime they forget, they just go through the one particular let's say guide, we call it a journey, and he or she can really pick and choose only really the activities that they want to, let's say, assistance with. So they don't need to be really trained. They receive assistance only anytime they need. Reduce support interactions, employee productivity increase. It's just the fact that it's also easier to maintain the content with Newired. I'll show you later how easy it is to actually create such a step-by-step guides with Newired. But from the benefits perspective, we measure that it's actually faster to update or make these instructions up to date with the Newired editor than just changing again the instructions in the LMS systems. Another benefit is that, let's say, these step-by-step instructions automatically adjust to a different language variants, to a different, let's say, globally, if you need to translate the content, it's always available in the right language, etc. But let's say even more important than those operational benefits are strategic benefits related to the return of investment into a digital technology that you are rolling out. What does it really mean? So according to Gartner, most of the so-called digital transformations fail. Based on their surveys, it's around 75%. It is really important to understand what means to fail. The fail means that the expected return of investment from rolling out a special ERP system, new HR portal, an engineering lifecycle management tool. So let's see, the investment into those enterprise digital tools is not, let's say, expected, let's say, return of investment is not fully delivered. And the digital adoption platform actually enables this return of investment by making sure that the people are more engaged with this technology, that they are simply using it more often. How is it so? First, what we have seen is that the users actually are using the software more often because they trust the system, that any time they are lost, there is this step-by-step instruction that help them to move forward. They also know that let's say, resolution of a potential problems come faster. So if they are lost, I mean, they don't need to wait for a support person. They don't need to go through the full training again and read the PDFs and be afraid that if they, let's say, don't answer one or two questions properly, they fail and they would need to be retrained again. So what is important is that really the digital adoption platform as a goal, as an objective, has not only to really have the people trained, but making sure that, let's say, the users are really using the digital adoption or digital tool more often. So what we also say is that trainings are mostly focused on the new hires, on the newbies. But the digital adoption platform actually has something also for the advanced users, because you can actually make sure that anytime there is a new regulation, you document the standard operating procedures in the tool, and you don't just train them on the tool, but you also train them on your internal processes, how to use a specific tool. But there is one topic that we haven't touched yet at all, and this is the topic of the reporting. So both the learning management systems and digital adoption platform has similar capabilities. I mean, you either train the people in the LMS, or you provide this step-by-step instructions or the, let's say, online tutorials directly in your application. And if you go to, let's say, to a CRM system, we see that, of course, I can measure the results of the end users, and I can see actually who are the people that have been actually trained. So if I select a particular person, here I see that Lars did nothing, but if I select my name, I see that, let's say, there has been a training that I completed. It took me 1 minute to go through it. So I have the information when I have been trained, what are all the registrations or the courses that I passed. If I go to a Newired server, so if I go to a Newired portal, I can also have a different reports. I can see, let's see, how many users have been actually engaged or trained per day. If I select a particular journey, a particular guide, I can actually see, let's see, if the people are actually went through all the steps, how much time they spent on each step. So both platforms provide, let's see, the key informations about either the online courses in LMS or the digital adoption actually, or usage of the digital adoption tool in the DAP tool. And fortunately for us, there is a need that you want to actually integrate these data together. So if, let's say, the DAP provides a more modern option for having people onboarded or trained, instead of just reading the PDFs, instead of just reading or watching the videos at the LMS system, we may agree that really the concept of learn by doing is better, but we still need to have one important objective, to actually store or retrieve the records across the platforms about what the users have been doing. So I want to actually know that he or she has been trained on a new labor law in Germany, and that he is also, let's say, aware how to use a new HR system, Workday. And there is a standard called Learning Record Store, where the goal is to actually ultimately aggregate the data from a different storages. The LRS is really something that emerged from the LMS systems, and the LMS actually LRS is really a place that we also believe that the digital adoption tool should post data into. What does it really mean? So again, if I go to another platform, just to show you that this is really flexible, and let's see, there are many tools on the market. We have here a sample LRS system, the so-called Learning Records Store. So of course, I can, let's say, see here specific activities like this golf example, and I can actually check how many users have executed it, how many users have been trained. In this case, it takes a second. So we see that 2 people have been trained on this traditional LMS content, how much time it takes them. So roughly 2 minutes. What's the average duration? We have been really fast, just 11 seconds. So I can really see also what the people are doing. So if I select a particular person, I know that, let's see, there have been some activities. If I actually check what actions have been performed, I see that, let's say, the golf course have been launched and processed. But I can actually also see that the same person, the John Doe, actually started a training using the DAP platform, or not a training, started a step-by-step guide how to create an account. Or we can definitely select here, let's say, John Doe again, and see what actions he performed. And we also see what has been actually also completed. So we see that the journeys have been started, but here we also see that a specific person has completed how to create a journey in a DAP platform. If we wait a second here, we also see how much time it took. In this case, it was just, let's say, the final report, so it was 0 seconds. But in the real world example, we see real data here. We see that it was performed just by 1 person twice. So basically, the concept here of the LRS system is that I have 1 central storage that collects data from multiple sources. The LMS for the, let's see, online traditional process trainings, where you may really train people on new tax law, or on a new, let's say, regulation, how you should, let's see, work with minorities. And then in the same environment, I can actually track data from the DAP platforms that are the more modern way how to onboard people on the digital tools. So with this capabilities, you can easily start introducing the more modern DAP approaches with still having a central store for your training data. The great thing is that you probably are already using the many LMS or the LMS system of your own choice, and most of the current LMS platforms really provide the LRS capabilities. If not, you can actually have the LRS that let's see, the third-party LRS system that connects to your own LMS system. This is what I was showing you today, that I can even use the, let's see, the third-party LRS system that connects to the LMS and Newired DAP. So you really have quite a flexibility how you structure your traditional courses and modern DAP approach. Now, I promised you one thing, that I will actually describe, let's say, the potential integration, but what we haven't touched yet at all, and based on my understanding that I checked with, let's see, joining today, I saw many people that are really not really fully aware of what the DAP platform really is. So let me also just spend, let's see, now a couple of minutes Speaking about now back about the DAP, specifically about Newired now. So not just in general what the digital adoption platform is, but what is the approach of Newired. And for the Newired, I think one of the key aspects is that we would like to make sure that each and every organization can design or create these online manuals, I mean, embedded in the application without any coding skills. So we really want the same people that were traditionally using the LMS, where for the LMS you produce the text content, you produce some images, you produce some videos. So literally the subject matter experts, the instructional designer is the person that is using the LMS system, and we wanted to have the same person being capable to create such a modern embedded guides and manuals. So now I want to switch from the slides again for a bit of the live demo. So I go to something which is called a Newired editor. The Newired editor is an application that is being used by instructional designer to actually create the content. You see, I am on Mac, so the Newired editor is here as a Mac application or Apple application. We also have the solution for Microsoft Windows, of course. And here it contains a browser area. So I can actually load here any web page and let's say create a content for any web application. But for the sake of today's demo, I'm using the same CRM system as I've been showing you at the beginning of today's, let's say, demo. And actually what we want to do, we want to show you how easy it is to create the step-by-step guide for any web application for a non-developer. So let me go just to a home screen. So if I go here and I go to a dashboard, so I have here a dashboard, and what we want to create is the step-by-step manual. Okay, so let's start with a name. So how to create an account, and this will be my demo journey. And we start typically with the first step. The first step should be likely just the welcome screen. Okay, so welcome. You will learn this and that. Okay, we can actually maybe, I'd say, mention that the rich content, the videos, the images are important. Let me just put here quickly some, let's say, picture from our curated library. I want to place it in the content at the end. Okay, so I have here my welcome, let's say, step. This was really very basic, but the real first step is that we want a user to click here on the create button. So you see, I click add a new step, and visually, because it's a browser, it works as a browser. So you see this menu is here, and I can just select here I can select an element. I want to put it here to the left. So the first step is that I want the user to click here on the create button. The second step is that I want the user to click here on the create account. So again, add new step. I want to add a call out. I select create account, and yes, I move it here to the left, and we want to click here on this create account. Click on create account. Okay, the next step would be what? The next step would be that we should fill in the name. Okay, again, you probably know what will happen now. Add a new step, call out, I select this element, enter the name. We can add more text. The name should include the type of company, whatever. And the last step, add a new step, call out, hit save. Save it now. Confirm. So what we did now is that you saw that without any coding, without any technical steps, I was able to really create what we call a journey. The journey is a guide that runs inside of my application, and it actually tells the user step by step what to do. You see that I'm just going through it. I should enter the name and save it now. Now, this was in my editing environment. So once again, we were showing you now how to actually create the content. And the nice thing now is that I can actually mark this journey as active. If I go to the management interface, and this is not a training, so I will be quite, let's say, I don't want to dive into the details. I can go and submit the changes. So this is LMS webinar test. I'll publish it as live. And now if I go to my Chrome browser, so now I am let's say working I'm a sample of the real end user, and I refresh my screen. So let's say I'm now in my browser on top of the public application. So if you would actually go after this webinar to this place, crmdemo.newired.com, here under you will see, let's see, the same system that I'm presenting you now, and here is our journey, how to create an account. With welcome, you will learn this and that. Click here, create account, enter the name, and hit the save. So it took us probably 2 to 5 minutes to create a real-world example of one of the tutorials that you can create by yourself for your processes, for your tools, and we have it up and running in a few minutes. Okay, so this is what we actually provide. We are not providing you with a set of tutorials or set of guides for popular tools, but similar to the LMS system, we provide you a solution where you can document your own processes, your own procedures, your own use cases, but make sure that the people do not need to be trained up front. But anytime they perform a given activity, they can just run it on top of their application, Salesforce, a Workday, Polarian ALM system, Siemens Team Center, you name your application. And what we have also seen today is that from the reporting perspective, from the perspective that really at the end, what matters is, are my people trained? What is Jack doing? You can actually well integrate the LMS and DAP content through the standard called LRS, the Learning Records Store. On top of what we have discussed today, I just want to highlight a few additional benefits. So what we have already seen is that it's very easy to use to, our Newired editor. So it doesn't require any complexity, any code skills to create such a tutorial. But in the same time, what I want to highlight, what is really important, is that these guides, these tutorials, will work on any device, so with a different screen size, with a different browser localization. So what we call the content needs to be robust. From the perspective that if I create a content today, if there is a new version of Salesforce tomorrow, if there is a new version of the Siemens Polarian ALM tomorrow, it will still continue to work. And that's where our, let's say, platform is really miles away from the competing platforms. So it's simple to use, but at the same time, very robust from the perspective how the content connects to the on-screen elements, the menus, the form elements, etc. From a security and privacy perspective, this is important because what you have seen is that you can use Newired to create or to connect these guides directly to your production application. So you may wonder, I mean, does it open any security risk, any data privacy risk? The great thing about Newired is that all what we have been presenting today can be hosted on your premises, on your servers. So if your, let's say, IT requirements are really strict, everything should be hosted on your servers. We are ready and open for it. Content publishing or approval workflows. We know that for the LMS, it was traditionally very important before a training gets published, it needs to be reviewed, it needs to be approved. You may wish to maintain different versions of your trainings. The same applies to a digital adoption content, especially the same should apply. So Newired, as a really mature DAP platforms, provide a so-called versioning component. Every modification to the content you go or you maintain, it will be tracked as a special new version, which can be electronically approved, exported into Microsoft Word and archived what has been the specific version of your content. Okay, so from the workflow perspective, we provide let's see the mature workflows to manage the process of publishing the content to the end users. What is important is also that the DAP should not only enable people to be trained on the tools. What you want your people to be trained on are the actual procedure that may or may not involve multiple tools together. So the DAP tools, like Newired, works on top of a tool chain. So if your procedure, let's say, span across multiple tools, ERP, CRMs, etc., you can really build such a step-by-step manual that opens multiple tools at once. Multi-language support. If you wanted content to be translated into multiple languages, we provide the capabilities for it. And all of that in very transparent and easy to try package and a fair pricing model. Fair means that the prices are available online on our website, so you can just go and check it out. There is just one number that you care about, or we care about, is how many users needs to be, let's say, trained, how many users are exposed to this DAP content. This is what we prepared for you today. I hope in this short webinar, we highlighted key differences, key values of both LMS and DAP, and also the fact that today, it doesn't mean that the DAP platform replaces the LMS, but in reality, we have customers who fully benefit from both platforms together. And the great thing is that the data can be well integrated together, so you have a holistic view how your users are enabled, what they are trained on, what they are doing in the DAP or LMS together. Now, let's spend the last couple of minutes, 5 minutes, for the potential questions, and if there are any. So I'll go and I open the Q&A panel. And let's see if there are any open questions. What type of the applications do you support? In reality, I mean, this question can be answered from a different perspective. So first, let's say we focus mainly on the web application. So the digital adoption platform, our digital adoption platform, connects best to the web applications, CRMs, HR portals, ERP systems, but also engineering tools such as Jira or IBM Relational Center. So traditionally, we really focus on the web-based platforms. There are also some desktop applications that are based on web technologies, such as Mattermost or Slack, that we also can connect with because it's based on the web technology. Long story short, let's see, from the architecture point of view, we focus on web technology. If you ask what type of applications, like if you were mentioning which brands or vendors do we support? We really support any application. I mean, it could be something that we don't know, that you have developed internally in-house. You may have the existing applications that are being developed for your internal processes. We can also connect to the tools that you develop internally that we don't know at all. We support modern applications, single URL applications. Really, I mean, we don't restrict you from, let's say, to the pre-selected set of applications. You mentioned translations. Is the content auto-translated? From the translation perspective, there are two, let's see, again, we need to approach it from a different angle. So first, from the end user perspective, the very important thing is that the content or the end user can actually select what language he or she want to experience the training in. So if I have here, okay, I select the Italian. I see here is that now my CRM overview speaks in Italian language. So of course, let's say as an end user, I can experience the content with in a different, let's say, language. Now, maybe your question was really, how is the content translated? If this is automatically translated by the AI, or how the translation is being really managed. So we do it in a way that, let's say, first, we don't trust in the enterprise production environment the automated translations. So how we do it is that actually we manage the translations with the industry standard, which is called an xLIF. So technically, you just set up what language do you want your content to be translated in. You download the so-called translation package. The translation package is based on the, let's say, public standard called xLIF. You send this content, the zip file, to your translation department, to the translation agency. Because it's based on the standard, they know what is it. They translate the content, often with the help of, let's say, natural language processing tools, with the help of AI, maybe automatically, and then a translator just, let's say, polish the content. They send you the data back, they upload you upload the content, and that's what you need to do. So we don't rely on the automated translation, but you can use the tools with the support of automated translation in your translation workflows. So there is a hybrid approach. Yes, you can benefit from the automated translation tools in your translation workflows, but you can always improve and review the translation and make it better because you can adjust the content. We don't fully rely on it. What LRS platforms are supported? The LRS, the great thing about the learning record stores is that the learning record store are being based on the so-called xAPI standard. So the great thing about the LRS is that there is a public standard called xAPI, Experience API, which really means that most of the LMS tools actually are supporting the xAPI standard, and so the Newired actually do not need to integrate with a different LRS systems differently, but we integrate with the learning record stores through the xAPI protocol that is pretty well accepted by the market. So please let us know what LRS system, what LMS system you are using, and we'll check internally whether we can integrate today or if there needs to be a small customization. But let's see, what is important is that, let's see, we truly, that there is a standard that we can rely on. check if there is any other question. Do you support SAP? Again, from the perspective of our solution, our Newired digital adoption platform shall really connect with any web-based application. So if you open, for example, our website and we go to ERP apps, we list here the SAP ERP. We also support NetSuite, Oracle ERP Cloud. There are lots of the tools that we listed here just as an examples of the platforms that we have already reviewed and tested. But as I said, if you miss the platform of your choice in the list, it doesn't mean that we don't work on top of such application. It may just mean that we haven't tested it yet, but the platform is generic enough to connect with any application. Let's check because some of the questions have been answered by my colleagues. Can I run a test in a DAP platform? So yes and no. So technically, with our platform, I can build a survey. I can build a test. Okay, so what I can really do, we have here an example. I can actually edit or I can define a given questionnaire, a test, a quiz. But we believe that from the, let's say, from the perspective of digital adoption platform, more important than just train the people and then run a test whether they are being trained is to provide those instructions that the users can actually run anytime. So it's instead of training them, the digital adoption platform is actually assisting them anytime they need. So it's not really the concept of train first and then use the solution. It's really anytime I run through some specific procedure that the solution can assist me so I don't fail. It gives me the instructions. So anytime I feel lost, I can actually benefit from this online assistance layer. So yes, technically speaking, you can build surveys, quizzes, tests using DAP platform like Newired, but I would really focus as a best practice more on providing people with or assisting them to succeed rather than train and test and hope that the next time they will just succeed because they are being trained. Of course, if you have a special initial onboarding procedures that you want to be sure that they go through it first before they go before the end users will be even given access to your production systems, you can do it. I have time for the last question. Let me check. Do you integrate with knowledge-based systems? I was speaking in the past about the fact that we actually reduced the number of support tickets or support calls, but what is important part of the knowledge-based platforms, Zendesk, Freshdesk, there are tons of popular systems for managing the knowledge bases and support teams. The great thing is that actually I can integrate the content into my application. What I mean is that imagine that you have your knowledge base and you want just to actually integrate it into the application. So if there is a special page that the users are aware that there is an article, there is already something that is documented. The story for that is that we have customers who already built a lot of the articles. There is a existing knowledge base that is full of information that the people don't want to search for it, but there is really something important that you want to push to the end user. So what we can actually do with the Newired, you may do more than just building these step-by-step instructions. You can also build so-called tips, where the tip is really something like we have seen here that just pop-ups when you put your mouse over it. Okay, in this case, let me just let's say show that what I can do. For example, I can embed an article into the tip. So when I embed it, the content of the article automatically pop-ups in this tip. It requires a bit more time than what we have now, but the short answer to your question, whether we integrate with the knowledge base, yes, you can embed the content, you can link the content. We also provide the so-called micro apps that a tip can also include a form to create a tip, create a support ticket directly from the application. So yes, we integrate with popular knowledge base systems or support systems. And we support two types of use cases, either to integrate existing knowledge base articles into the target platform, or let's say enable the easy ticket creation directly from the application. This is the time that we have reserved for you today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all your questions. The webinar has been recorded, so we will share the recording with you. If you would have any more questions, let us know via email, and we are more than happy to assist you with picking up the right platform and integrating your LRS systems with the DAP platforms. Thank you and have a great day.